Hello, everyone. Jeremy Jordan here again, and it's been a while since I've made any videos, but with the whole lockdown thing, I thought I'd put together a few videos since I've got the free time. But instead of just complaining about things that I see wrong with society or what's going on, I thought instead I would come up with some videos with ideas of what I think we should do. So instead of complaining, I want to give out some of my ideas of what I would do if I was in charge. Some of these ideas I've had for a while. Other ideas are more recent. So, and this video is going to be an idea that I came up very recently. And this idea was triggered by Andrew Yang. Now, Andrew Yang ran on the Democratic side for president, and his main topic of discussion was his version of the universal basic income. To start off, I have never been a fan of UBI. I don't think it's a good idea. I think it makes it too easy for people to become less motivated to develop things or to work or to do things in a way to sustain themselves instead of relying on the government. I've never been a big fan of people living off the government. However, I have to give Andrew Yang a lot of credit because listening to his interviews and listening to him speak, he managed to present his version of UBI in such a way that I actually found it intriguing. He came up with some very good points. He presented it in a way where I almost would go for it. Now, I'm not 100% on board with his idea, just to say that. But it did trigger my thinking, because some of the things he said really are important and things that should be looked at and do need to be taken care of. And one of the reasons he gave for his version of the UBI was women who want to stay home to raise their kids. A lot of women in today's society don't have that option. They don't have the ability to stay home, especially in the younger years of a child's growth. And that really shouldn't be the case. Having a mother home to raise children has been shown through several studies to be very beneficial to the child. And if we had a way to allow more women to do that, it would better society. But again, I don't agree with the idea of a UBI. A permanent UBI. What he wanted to do was $1,000 a month for all Americans over 18. No matter how rich you were or how poor you were, all Americans. Now, I disagree with that. I do think there could be a cap. If you make over a certain amount of money, you probably don't need the $1,000 a month. But I can kind of understand his reasoning why he didn't want to have a cap, because it's like punishing successful people. And I'm a huge free market capitalist type guy, and I've never been into punishing successful people. So I can kind of agree with him on that aspect. So I could agree that there shouldn't be a cap on a UBI. But then that opens it up. You're talking a lot of people receiving this money, and it's going to cost a ton of money to solve these various issues that Andrew Yang presented to support his idea. I think we can address the issues that he raised, which I think were valid issues. That's the one thing I liked about Andrew Yang, is I think of all the Democrats that were running, he was the only one looking at and presenting issues that are real, issues that we are going to have to deal with as a society sooner or later. And odds are it's going to be sooner. He's the only one talking about a variety of things. You know, all kinds of different issues that are going to be a problem that we need to address. Now, I didn't agree with a lot of his solutions, but I loved the fact of the situations and the issues he was bringing up. I loved that about him, and he seemed very genuine, and he seemed very intelligent, and I was actually hoping he would do better in the race. Unfortunately, now they got Biden, and that's a whole other video that I won't get into here. But back to the UBI idea. So I was pondering this. You know, one of the things I love to do is just sit and think. It's my hobby. So I was pondering this. I'm like, he made some really good points that seem to justify the idea of implementing a UBI type system. But I just didn't like the idea of it being like a permanent system. That was kind of my sticking point. It's like, why give money away to people continuously for their whole life? That's not how you motivate people. That's not how our society should be structured. But there are certain things in life, or certain things in our society, I should say, that aren't fair. Now, I don't believe in the whole equal outcome thing that's being pushed around a lot by progressives and those on the left and social justice warriors and stuff. They're all pushing for this equal outcome idea. Horrible idea. Terrible idea. I could do a whole video on why that is such a horrible idea. Just realize that, A, it's impossible to get. People are just different. People have different motivations. They have different skills. They have different abilities. They have different desires. Some people don't want to be at the top of the food chain. Some people are happy at a lower level just getting by, and that's fine. We don't need equal outcomes. What we need is equal opportunities. Now, America has a great system of opportunity. In this nation, in this country, you have tons of opportunity. However, it's not equal yet. We could do better on making the opportunity more equal, more uniform. And I think a variation on the UBI could help in this regard. I think it could help level the opportunity playing field to give everyone a good start, a good starting point. I think we could use a modified UBI idea that I'm going to discuss in a second to help with that issue with mothers who want to stay home. We also have an issue of retired people not being able to survive. Social Security is in all kinds of trouble. It's not going to go away, but it's in trouble. And I think people need a little more security for their retirement, if they so choose. Now, this idea that I'm about to explain gives people the freedom to decide how they want to use this system, because it's actually got essentially 3 ways you can use it. So what my idea is, and I liked the number Andrew Yang came up with, and that's the $1,000 a month number. I think that was a really good number. I think he really thought that through. I don't think he just threw out a number out of random. I think because you don't want it too low where it doesn't really help. If it's too low of a figure, say if you're getting paid monthly, and it doesn't really help, it's kind of a pointless program. But if you set it too high, then it becomes too easy to rely on just that. What his idea was, was to have something to help people, not to completely sustain them, but just to help them. 1,000 a month, I think, is a really good number. Now we could adjust that, later on down the road with inflation and all that. But right now, I think 1,000 a month is a good figure. But I would not do it forever. What I would do, and here's the idea I came up with, is instead of doing a UBI continuously, he wanted to start at 18 and move on to, however old you get, till your death, apparently. That's too long. I say give each American a credit for 10 years worth of 1,000 a month. Okay? So basically 1,000 a month is 12,000 a year. 10 years is 120,000. So each American would receive from the government a credit of $120,000. Now, how do they use that credit? Well, one, I wouldn't allow anyone to access it at 18. Now, I have my reasons for that. Originally, I wanted to do 25, but that might be a little too old. So right now, I'm saying 22. Anyone who's 22 or older will have access to this program. You can use the program pretty much identically like Andrew Yang had described his, but it's only good for a 10-year period. So you can do up to 1,000 a month. You could do 500 a month. You could do 250 a month. You can set it whatever you want. You can start it whenever you want. You do not have to start using it at 22. You can save those 10 years worth, that $120,000. Say you're a woman, and later on in life, say around 30 years old, you decide, I want to start having kids, but I want to be home while they're growing up. You could leave your job, start receiving 1,000 a month, and you could do that for a whole 10 years and stay home for that entire 10-year period receiving $1,000 a month. Now, that would use up your credit, and you wouldn't have it anymore, but you could choose to use it for that. Or if someone wants to stay home for a couple years and do something on the side, maybe they want to try to start their own business or whatever, and they want a couple years to try that. Well, they could do 1,000 a month to supplement their income while they work on this business adventure. And that's the second way I would allow people to use this money to help balance that starting point I was talking about, to allow people more opportunities. Once you're 22 and once you're eligible for this, you can apply for a lump sum payment out of the 120 up to the whole thing for starting a business. But I would have it that you have to submit a business plan, and that business plan would have to be approved by some type of group of people, business people, not politicians or lawyers or anything like that. I would have a panel of actual business people look at, how viable is this business plan. And it wouldn't be a very strict panel. Like, they wouldn't be like, oh, there's no chance this will succeed. I want to give people the opportunity, if they want to start their own business, that they could use this one lump sum payment to jumpstart them. And you can use it at any point in your life. Say you're 40 and you get laid off. And you're like, man, I don't know what I'm going to do. And you go, you know what? I've always had this business idea. Apply. If you haven't used it yet, apply, get the lump sum, start the business. You have $120,000 to work with. But again, that has to be approved. I wouldn't want people just to randomly create these off-wall or just to waste the money. I don't want people to take the lump sum and then just blow the money. I want them to legitimately use it to try to start a legitimate business, to get that first step going, so that people even in the inner cities or people that who feel like they don't have any opportunity, they could utilize this. Once they hit 22, they could say, you know what? I have a business idea. I have something I think that will work. Submit, come up with a business plan, really think it out, really put it down in detail what you want to do, and submit it. It gets approved, you get your money, you're off to the races. And if it fails, you don't have to pay it back. It's not like a loan. If it fails, it's on the government. It's on the taxpayers. They covered it. And that's why, I wanted approved, not just any hairball scheme business idea. It needs to be viable. So you can use this anytime. You can break it up. Say that mother only wants to be home for 5 years. And instead of $1,000, she only needs $750 to supplement her income or whatever. People could use this any way they want. Once it's gone, it's gone. Or if you're worried about retirement, you save it for your retirement. You retire, you could set it up for an extra $500 a month, and that would last 20 years of your retirement. You could go 20 years of retirement at $500 a month, extra on top of anything else you're getting, Social Security or 401k or any of that other stuff. This would supplement your retirement. You could use it that way. Here's the thing. Each individual would have the freedom to decide exactly how they want to use it. Do they want to use it to stay home with their kids? Do they want to use it for transitioning periods from one job to the other where they want to learn? Do they want to maybe go back to school and get retrained for something? If you're 35 or whatever and you get laid off and you decide you don't want to do that industry or that particular style of job anymore, okay, well, I'm going to take a couple of years off and get a degree. You can use that money to supplement your education. There's all kinds of ways you can use this money. Now, some people, unfortunately, when they turn 22, they're just going to take the $1,000 a month and party for 10 years and blow it. That's their right to do that. We can't stop people from being dumb. In a free society, people are free to do stupid things. And if someone wants to blow their $120,000 that first 10 years while they're young, maybe they just want to travel. Before I settle down and have a family, this and that, I want to travel and see the world. And that $1,000 a month, that can help me do that. Okay, do that. I don't care. I don't care how you use the money. But the idea is to give people this option that allows them to navigate life much easier and much better. And it won't cost the government as much as a UBI would that is continuous over a course of a person's entire life. It would be up to the person. If they hit a rough patch in their life, that happens to all of us. I've been laid off. I know what it feels like. After 17 years at a company, I was let go. And it wasn't fun. It was not fun in any way, shape, or form. And a lot of Americans go through rough patches where things change. Industries change. The dynamics of the economy change. Pandemic viruses run rampant. So all kinds of things change. And this would give people the ability to navigate those changes, or, like I said, to stay home with their kids, start a business, have that extra security for retirement, however they want to use this. And it would be maxed out at $1,000 a month. Can't go over that. Or the one lump sum payment, and you don't have to do the whole 120. Say you only want to do $50,000 for a lump sum. Well, you still have that extra $70,000 that you can do $1,000 a month, or $500 a month, save that for retirement. There's a lot of different ways you could use a system like this. So this is my idea. It's kind of like a UBI, but it's not a UBI. It's a short-term guaranteed $120,000 that can be utilized in a variety of ways. Transitions, education, starting a business, retirement, all kinds of different ways. But it's not a consistent UBI, which would A, cost too much, and B, I think, demotivate people too much. So that's my idea. Like I said, I don't call it a UBI, but it's basically $120,000 for each American that gives them the freedom to utilize it in a variety of ways. Again, my name's Jeremy Jordan, and this is Thinking Out Loud. I look forward to seeing you guys again. Have fun.